we now need to really like properly get into what happened and what the plan is for the renomination, because it's pretty wild. So as you all saw in the episode, at least from outward appearances, it seemed as though Kelly full on came up with the idea to volunteer for the block for Vince. But he decided not to take her up on that offer. We were not super kind to Vince last night in the recap, but we said the by far smartest thing he did was not nominate Kelly. So, of course, seems his plan is to nominate Kelly now. For her part, Kelly no longer wants to go on the block. Kelly did spend, I would say, a decent amount of effort trying to convince Vince to not do this. But when I say decent amount of effort, I'm being generous, because it was a lot of like, well, I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think we should do this, but I'll do it for you. I will. You know, you shouldn't put up Jimmy. You're right. That is really scary if you do that. So yeah, I'll do it. And you know, just don't tell me beforehand, but I'll do it. Vince spends the first like 4 hours of the live feeds seemingly talking with Kelly about how she is going to go up on the block, and then genuinely crying about it while doing so. Because he just has no other choice, guys. There's no other options for him to put on the block. He's not going to do Jimmy. He can't do Adrian. So they're too scary. What if they won the competition and then they were mad at him? Vince is going to spend the actual entire night talking about being worried about people being mad at him and what he's going to look like. And, well, you know, because I just feel like I've already told people that I'm going to put Kelly up. So, like, if I don't put Kelly up now, it's going to look like I'm kind of like a flip-flopper, you know? So, like, I just don't feel like maybe if we had talked about it earlier, but now I just feel like it's too late. You know, there's like a whole day left, but that's not enough time. You know what I mean? Like, I've already told so many people that I wanted to do that. So I don't know. Just killed my voice trying to do Vince. So it was a frustrating night for me, to say the least, because Vince is supposed to be a fan. Like, the thing is, frustrating to watch Kelly volunteer for the block, right? She's the one that came in saying she wanted to have a fresh take on Big Brother, and her fresh take was apparently put me on the block and send me home week 1. That's frustrating. But somehow, some way, the man who has been watching since season 16 and has been apparently a live feeder, I don't believe you, since season 18, genuinely spent the summer watching a man named Quinn Martin and then at his first opportunity decided, yeah, I just have no choice. Yeah, there is a player in here who considers me to be her number one and would do anything I say and really likes me and, you know, is my friend, is one of my closest friends in the house. But I don't know. I just feel like if I don't put her up, everyone's going to be mad. So I think I have to do it. But what if I told you that, like, literally no other person in the house wants him to put up Kelly? What if I told you that over the course of the night, multiple people in his alliance are going to tell him, don't do that? Would you be surprised if I told you that? Would you also be surprised if I told you that that doesn't matter to him? He still feels like he wants to put Kelly on the block? Despite apparently genuinely crying about it. We'll get there. We'll get there. So, he has these conversations with Kelly. She eventually capitulates and says, "Okay, I'm down. I'm doing whatever you need me to do. Hopefully I don't leave. That would suck." Meanwhile, Keanu's trying to convince him to put up Jimmy. He's not biting. Keanu's then eventually going to try to whip up some votes for Kelly, which is not going to work. Keanu is our resident talk blocker at the moment. Every conversation that Keanu walks into turns into the same conversation where nobody's telling the truth because nobody's telling Keanu the truth about anything, quite frankly. And Vince is crying, and he's crying, and he's crying, and he's crying, and he's saying, I just like, what will it look like? What will it look like if I don't do it? Like, and I just don't want anybody to be mad at me. I just don't want anybody to be mad at me, and I don't want it to look weird. We eventually discover that that while Vince does feel bad, he is actually totally fine with Kelly leaving. He knows that if he puts Kelly on the block, that she will likely leave, and that makes him very sad. But it's what he has to do because she, just wasn't good enough socially, and that's on her. And now it's what he has to do because she wasn't good enough. Pretty strange attitude. He also keeps calling her his friend, but I'm not entirely sure he understands the term, because he calls her friend, a friend of his, a close friend of his, a good friend, one of his best friends in the house. But he also calls her Nat, that he can keep caged. So, I'm just not sure, like, it's tracking for me, the idea that she's actually like a friend of his as much as just like somebody who he finds annoying that follows him around. Maybe, I don't know. But he's certainly willing to put her on the block and potentially send her home. It's kind of seemingly your classic case of a player in the game who is struggling socially and therefore has like less value as a human. And you feel totally fine sort of like viewing them as such. Like Kelly, who is, seemingly otherwise to Vince, a lovely human. He talks about how she's like this quirky, lovely human. But because she, doesn't get along super well in the house, she's also an annoying gnat that he can cage, and somebody that he can throw up on the block to mitigate a tiny bit of blowback for his HOH, at least in his mind. Pretty fascinating the way that the house can psychologically sort of influence the way that players view other humans. Read about more of that kind of thing in my book, Behind the Mirror. It's kind of one of the themes of my book. Um, so, so that's going on. Vince really just wants to put Kelly on the block to sort of maintain that whole situation.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.